Kim Todd, president of Dress for Success Boston. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
What is Dress for Success, and what's your main mission? Why is it so important to give people these tools?
Well, you know what? I'll start. I'll tell you a story. We all know that looking for a job is really hard. It's hard. You know, you got to get the resume together. You got to make sure it looks right. You got to make sure there's no typos on it. Get that out. Wait for that call. You wait for that call, like for the interview. Then you get the call, and what's the first thing you think? Like, what am I going to wear to the interview? So imagine if you finally get to the point, you get that interview, and you have nothing to wear, and you don't have the funds to buy anything. What do? You know, how do you make a positive first impression if you don't have the means to do that? Right. And I think that's what Dress for Success does. So we're known for giving clothing to women who are looking for jobs. So the clothing is free, it's theirs to keep, it's all the services are free, and it's a boost of confidence that really gets women so that they can make that first impression and make a positive impression in that interview.
Right. And when you walk into a room, especially at a job interview, the first thing you're going to get met with is judgment, no matter who you are, who the interviewer is. Besides dressing for success, what else do you help these women with?
Okay, so we do actually, if women need help with their resumes or they need help with mock interviewing or like career path, we have volunteers who are available to help.
Right.
So we can do that. But I think that like the clothing is like an instrument almost, because the clothing, like when you wear something that looks good, it just makes you feel better. And when you feel confident, you do better. So I think it's like the whole package is what we do.
Right.
So we dress, head to toe. The women who come to us they're referred by other agencies.
Gotcha.
So that's how we know that they need the service. We work with over 100 agencies in the area, shelters, rehab programs, all different kinds of organizations, job readiness, things like that. And then they come to us, we give them the whole outfit. But our space is like a boutique. So when the women come in, they get a stylist who's like one-on-one, kind of, and informally like talks about the interview and gives them tips, for the upcoming interview. And then once they get the job, they can come back and get like a week's worth of clothing to get started on the work wardrobe. So we do that as well. We work with youth. So we work with girls ages 14 to 21. We do these, it's called Confidence Day. It's like a 4-hour workshop, and we do making that positive first impression. We do sometimes we'll do some banking basics, interview skills, resumes, that kind of thing. So
you guys offer services for giving interview tips for your clients. Can you lead us in on a couple of tips that you like to regularly tell?
Yes, so I do. There's 3 tips that I always love to give our women. My kids too. First, always do your research. Wherever you're interviewing, look up the company, make sure you know about them, who they are, what they do. Even if it's like Dunkin' Donuts or a hotel, you want to find out about the company where you're interviewing.
Right.
Second, make sure you smile in the interview. I know it's serious business, but you should smile because it just makes you more welcoming as a person, even when you're nervous. And I think sometimes it makes you feel less nervous.
Yeah.
And number 3 is you should always have at least one question ready at the end of the interview, because they always, without fail, will ask, do you have any questions? So you should have some questions ready, like, what are you looking for in this person? What qualities are you looking for? Just have a few questions ready.
Tell us a little bit about the stylists, actually. Tell us a little bit about, why they volunteer, what their experience is, and why they love it so much.
Our volunteers are like, we'll be talking about a volunteer, we'll be like, which one are you talking about? Well, the well-dressed one, and we're like, that's all of them, But it's, lots, we have quite a few like retired women who have been in the workforce, corporate jobs, and they want to give back to other women who are on their way. We have some younger women who have flexible schedules who can come in. Some have been personal stylists, some have not, but just really want to help other women. So it's kind of like a nice little happy corner of the world where like women are all helping each other.
Yeah. Who is disproportionately affected by these barriers and these issues?
I think just almost every client who walks through our doors has dealt with something. It's interesting, we don't always know their story.
Gotcha.
Sometimes they'll tell us, but sometimes they don't. I think that it's just about giving everybody a fair shot, like evening the playing field so women can like get the job and have a better chance of becoming employed and breaking the cycle of poverty.
Right.
That's the ultimate goal.
Totally
You
breaking.
know, to help women be economically self-sufficient and just taking care of their families, being positive role models for their kids.
Tell me, do you have any standout stories that really reminded you of the mission of DFS?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. There's so many stories. The first one that comes to mind all the time is we had a woman walk in, and we have like this little waiting area. It's really welcoming. And she walked in, and I think the volunteer greeted her and said, "Can we get you a coffee or a water? You know, let's hang up your coat." And she just started crying. And we're like, you know, and the volunteer said, "You know, what's wrong?" And she said, "No one's ever been this nice to me."
Wow.
So how can that be? Like, how can people be treated that way? You know, and that breaks my heart, and that's what gets me up every morning, when you treat a person with dignity and respect, it helps them to gain that for themselves too, and believe that they're worthy of success.
Right.
So that's one story. There's another story. This one's kind of funny. So we had a woman come in, and she was trying on clothing, and I was working with her. So back when I I've been here for a long time. Back when I started, there were just a few volunteers, so I would fill in a lot to dress clients. So I was dressing this woman, and she was kind of shy about how many items she wanted to try on. And she finally had like something she liked, and she peeked around the curtain, and she said, "All right, well, how much will this be?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, everything is free, and it's yours to keep."
That's the point.
And she comes out, and she's like, "Oh, well, in that case, I'm going to try. Can I try that?"
She was like,
So,
capitalizing
you know,
on
and
it.
it's like and we've had women, you know, sit on the little couch at the end of their appointment and say, "I just don't want to leave. I just want to stay here forever." And it's just, you know, just supporting people when they need it the most.
Right. Like people who have that low confidence because of, you know, the trials that they've had in their life. When they come into that environment, that's like a little slice of heaven, right? Like a little slice of what life is like without judgment when you're surrounded by people who completely support you and want the best for you.
Yeah.
So Kim, tell our viewers where they can learn more about DFS and maybe where they can get styled themselves.
Yeah, so you can Google Dress for Success Boston. We are an affiliate of a worldwide organization that has, I think, like over 130. We're called affiliates in like 30 countries. But we're Boston, Dress for Success Boston. So it's boston.dressforsuccess.org. That's our website. And we are actively seeking volunteers. We need stylists.
Perfect.
And, you know, we're a very small staff, so we depend on our volunteers to actually fulfill our mission.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see who else you have to dress and what great things are going to come out of Dress for Success. So thank you so much, Kim.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.